Hello and welcome back to Gooner Gathering. My name is Posh Bertie, the poshest man in all of sports entertainment. And joining me is I'm sure, stress-free Gooner Gathering's founding father, Gooner Lee Meads. Mr. Meadows, how are you today?
Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone is having a fantastic start to the week. Everything's going really well, my end, mate. No stress at all here. I'm definitely not rushed in the last half hour to get some kind of structure into this stream. It's all going to go fine. How's your week started, mate?
It's been okay. Nothing much has happened today. But I will probably drive myself to the shops tomorrow.
How exciting!
Yeah, that'll be interesting. But obviously, that'll be before the Arsenal Luton game, which we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been good. Still top of the league. Still, yeah.
It's been a good weekend, mate, in terms of the football, isn't it? Really, certainly in terms of Arsenal, anyway, mate. But and that's why we're here. We'll go through a little bit of what happened against Wolves on Saturday. We'll go through a little bit of Mikel Arteta's press conference, and we'll go through the FA Cup draw, and maybe we'll sort of give our thoughts maybe on what we might do in terms of a team selection or something along them lines against Luton on tomorrow evening, isn't it? It's a late kickoff tomorrow evening on Amazon Prime. Let's get some sort of structure in. Ladies and gentlemen, let me be absolutely honest with you. I haven't been in very long. I've been in about 25 minutes. Normally, when we do these streams, I have nice little structure and everything all sorted out and ready to go. So this is a little bit on the fly, but I'm sure we'll be fine. Anyone who's watching, there's a couple of people in the chat already. Say hello, give us a like, and make sure you're subscribed to Gooner Gathering. I'm pretty sure the two people we're probably already in are subscribed. Shall we start from Saturday's game, mate? That's probably the best place to... Go on, Posh, sorry. Yeah?
I think we should.
Okay, well then. Well, let's... Off the top of my head, let's try and remember the team lineup. As far as I remember, was there not only just one sort of change into the starting 11 and Havertz missing on this one?
I will get the team lineup up for you here on the old Sky Sports Football Score Centre, and I will read the team lineups to you now.
Thank you,
first of all, Stacey's in the chat. Hello, Stacey.
Hey, Stace.
And by the way, I see you're wearing your Goal Lotso hoodie. I can confirm you won't be the only member of this channel wearing a Goal Lotso hoodie in a video.
Good man. Who have you put on the back of yours?
Well, you'll have to wait and see. It might be someone who's part of this Arsenal Wolves team, and it might be someone who may have scored. You never know. David Raya was in goal. Tomiyasu, who we'll get to in a minute, was at right back. Saliba and Gabriel at centre back. Everyone's favourite Zinchenko at left back.
Yeah,
cost us that Wolves' consolation goal, didn't he? Odegaard as the attacking midfielder, Declan Rice as the defensive, and Declan Rice as a 6, I should say, and Trossard in the number 8 role once again.
Yeah,
Saka, Jesus, and Martinelli as our front three. So one change, and that was Trossard in for Kai Havertz. Substitutes Ramsdale, Ben White, Kivior, Cedric, Elneny, Havertz, Jorginho, Nketiah, and Reece Nelson.
Okay, so maybe there wasn't so much rotation as maybe we might have thought going into this one. Let's just get straight into it, because Arsenal didn't really take much time in going ahead in this one, did they, mate? Let's talk about Saka's opening goal in 6 minutes. I sort of rewatched this just moments ago. Odegaard involved in the play. Actually, let's talk about Odegaard general play first of all in this match. Now, let's remember that he's had a few injury issues. He's had a concussion issue. I think generally in this match, we're seeing a bit more Odegaard at his best here. a bit more involved in play. Got the second goal, which we'll talk about in a minute. Involved in the first goal, and it's just good to see him back into getting himself into some form. Some people accuse him of being a bit quiet in some games. He wasn't quiet in this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, Wolves aren't exactly a big six team, aren't they? But you know, I think you can only play what's in front of you, and I think he did well to get the second goal. And I mean, I'll be honest, we should have killed them off in the first half, but obviously we didn't. But it was good to see Saka on the score sheet again, very early on in the first half as well. What, 5th minute, 6th minute? And
I think about 6th, 7th. Yeah. I'll talk through it a little bit. You give me your thoughts on it. So I'll say Ødegaard starting the playoff, giving the ball to Saka on the right wing, played it inside to Gabriel Jesus. Jesus quite influential in both goals on Saturday. Very strong on his marker. He flicked it to Tomiyasu, played the pass into Saka, managed to beat the 3 defenders that were in or around him to tuck it away in the corner.
And it was very good. I think both goals were good team goals, weren't they? Especially the second. But I think we did good movement to find Saka in tight space, put the ball in the back of the net, and it's 1-0 to the Arsenal 6 minutes in. Couldn't have asked for a better start, really. But yeah, I think the second goal was it was a typical Arsenal goal. Lots of passing and moving and flowing football, and it was just a good movement, wasn't it?
Bit reminiscent of last season's football, to be honest. You know, a little bit more swagger, I think, is probably the best word I want to use. Not Jack Swagger, just a little bit, almost that arrogance playing the ball around. Declan Rice involved, Saka on the right hand side again, played a deep cross this time, avoided everybody in the penalty area, but it found Zinchenko obviously backing up the play, had the 1-2 with Gabriel Jesus, and Zinchenko pulled the ball back to Ødegaard, basically on the penalty spot to put the ball away very nicely. And 2-0, you'd think we're having a bit of an avalanche here, wouldn't we?
You think so? It's kind of reminiscent of the Lons game, really. We had lots of chances. Well, unlike the Lons game, we actually couldn't put our chances away. We had plenty of opportunities to close the game off in the first half. I'll be honest, it should have been about 4-0 at least at half-time. But
would you like to talk about the other chances that should have probably gone in? Because in the time that I've had coming in, I haven't had a chance to write anything else down here.
I think Martinelli had a bit of a chance in the game. Again, I can't remember exactly who, but I do know that there were plenty of chances we could have had in the first half to completely close the game off at half-time and early on in the second half as well. I'm pleased we won, but what is stressing is the fact that, again, quite similar to last season, we don't make our chances count, and suddenly we end up taking our feet off the gas later on in the game, and who knows, it may or may not punish us a bit.
Let's mention Jose Sarr, goalkeeper for Wolves, who did go off in the 23rd minute. Now, I knew he was struggling a little bit because he's only just got back in the side as Sarr. And I do recall a chance that Trossard had, but he rather sort of went into the goalkeeper rather than putting the ball in the net. And shortly afterwards, whether it was connected or not, I'm not sure. But, Sarr couldn't continue. And I think making his first appearance of the season was Dan Bentley, the reserve goalkeeper, who actually put up a rather inspiring defensive, defiant display, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought he kept, I don't say kept them in, but he stopped the score. He stopped the scoreline from being worse for Wolves.
Yeah, absolutely did. Absolutely did. And like you mentioned, I think I can recall a Saka chance before the first half concluded that went wide. I don't think we probably tested the keeper enough, if you understand what I mean. Particularly hitting top gears quite early. You would have thought we might have gone a little bit more cutthroat, if you understand what I mean, and try and sort of drive home that advantage, like you mentioned. But let's not discount Wolves, because this is a Wolves side that not too long ago actually did beat Manchester City as well. So
yeah, and Gary O'Neill, I've said praise. I actually think he's quite a good manager.
I do. I do.
And I think there are times when I always say Gary O'Neill masterclass. Look at the games he did against Man City. He beat Tottenham as well, and I think Wolves at Molineux is going to be a very interesting game, whenever that may be, because I think they'll be up for that.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that as well. Where do we go now, Posh? Do you know where I think we'll go? Probably because the next thing, other than chances going amiss, which I'm pretty sure you're going to bring up in a minute, because I don't have an exact time frame right at the top of my head. But the thing that I've just thought of, which we'll bring up, and I knew we were going to talk about, let me just get his full name. Takahiro Tomiyasu. The Japanese right back, of course, has been playing pretty regularly of late. We actually praised him on the preview show, didn't we? We said how consistent his performances were. Got himself an assist in this game. But on the 79th minute, he got replaced, feeling something, according to Arteta in the press conference. I don't know if it's a little bit blurry in terms of what has actually happened here, whether it's a fatigue issue or a muscle strain or whatever. So it's a little bit touch and go whether he plays against Luton tomorrow. The good news on this side is that Ben White was the one who came on as substitute, who apparently is looking in good form now after a few weeks of sort of being away from and not playing an awful lot, sort of managing his minutes after he's sort of had a little bit of a time away. At least if one's out, another one's ready to go. Bit like taxis.
I think people are underestimating how important Tomiyasu has been to our side this season. Yes. He has been actually a lot more crucial than a lot of people think. And I would go as far to say, even though he's not a left back, but he's been playing there, he's a better left back than Zinchenko is, because he actually sticks to his positions. And when we played our inverted left back, that was the reason why we conceded late on in the game. I just think I really, really hope that Tomiyasu is not severely injured, and fingers crossed he's available to play. I mean, he probably won't play against Luton, but I hope he's able to play against Aston Villa on Saturday, because I'm telling you now, he has to play at left back in that game instead of Zinchenko. If we play an inverted left back against Aston Villa, we've lost.
Well, we'll cross that bridge. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Saturday's game is a big one. But I wouldn't go as far as to talk about that too far right now, because I don't want to underestimate a Luton town side, especially at Kenilworth Road. Let's wrap up the Wolves fixture if we can. I have gone too far back in my notes, and I'm looking at the stream from yesterday now. Do you want to talk through the mistake, obviously, that was made in the back line here? And you mentioned it was Zinchenko who gave the ball away in the penalty area for the Wolves goal. Kuna, I think it is, on the 87th minute, just to give us a little bit of a grandstand, unnecessary end to the game?
This should not have been the way the game ended. And I keep saying we should have made a lot of our chances count. We could have been 4-5-0 up at some point, but we didn't. This should not have been the end to the game. Yes, I know we won, and that's all great, but we could have won it in a more dominating fashion. And the reason why we made that mistake, we've got an inverted left back. You know, well, I think it was more for him making a mistake, really, and I will go as far to say that there are times when Zinchenko can be a defensive liability when it comes to these opponents. And Tomiyasu could be injured. Zinchenko is a defensive liability. We haven't got a proper left back now. If only we had a proper old school left back in our side who we didn't send out on loan. And mentioning that, do you know who the best defensive team in La Liga is at the moment? Real Sociedad.
Okay. How often has Kieran played over there, mate? Isn't he not injured at the moment?
I would expect him to be a regular starter there, but it's no coincidence. They're the best defensive side in La Liga at the moment.
Yeah, interested. Yeah, I'm not going to dismiss the facts, and you know what? For the large part of that comment, I do agree, because I'm a big fan of Kieran myself. You know that full well. But I don't think being inverted has much to do with this error. Actually, what I do think was he made an error in his position.
Yeah,
and it ultimately cost him. And you could see what, you know. I don't know if you saw the picture that or the footage I sent to you in the WhatsApp group. He knew he made a mistake, and he was speaking to Raya about it right at the end of the game. So look, he recognised his error. There's a comment coming. Let me just have a look. Who is that? That is there. Bear with me.
Emerson Cozier says Tierney played for Real Sociedad coming back from his injury.
That is great to hear, because he's a super player, and the more time he gets playing in Spain as an experience over there for him, that's amazing. Welcome, Emerson. Thank you for joining us again. It's lovely to have some familiar faces come in and join us. Please don't be afraid to add your comments, everybody, to the chat. Have your say. We'll put all your comments on the screen if we can. Yeah. But yeah, Kieran's obviously had a bit of a hamstring injury, but I totally get your point with this one, and I've said it once. I'll say it a number of times. Look, Zinny, as a footballer, he can spray the ball around lovely. He's got some great technique. He scored a fantastic goal. That Paolo Di Canio scissor kick the other week was incredible, right? Is he a defender? Not in the typical Nigel Winterburn kind of mould of things. No, he's not. I think he recognises his error. Arteta did mention it in the press conference today, from what I've read. Do I think it's going to mean that he's going to take him out of the starting 11? No, I don't think it is.
No.
Largely,
we have to play him. He's our only left back.
Largely because of what we just said there, in that I strongly doubt that Tomiyasu will be risked tomorrow. I think Ben will come back in, play right back. Tomiyasu will probably sit this one out, and maybe we'll see him over the weekend, perhaps. Who knows? But yeah, I do get your point, and I've said it before. I feel largely more comfortable when Tomiyasu's playing at left back, but that's because I'm maybe a little behind the times, perhaps. I don't know. I like my defenders to actually defend. Good evening to my dear brother. Hello, sir. The injuries are the reason why no one come in for him in the summer, and we didn't get £40 million for Kieran Tierney. Tomiyasu will play against Aston Villa because he's the best defensive left back. I think that's probably
Let's
a
hope he's
good
fit
shout,
then.
Nick. As long as Tomiyasu is fit, Nick, I think you're probably right.
To be honest,
But
if he isn't fit and Zinchenko is available, I'd probably play Kivior left back in that Villa game because I don't want to
that's
risk
not a bad shout either. That's not a
playing an
bad shout
inverted
at
left
all.
back against when you got Villa's extremely pacey attack, Diaby, Leon Bailey, Watkins coming at these flanks, and yeah, you can't have an inverted left back against them at Villa Park anyway. You can't.
No, you're right. I think you are right because it's one of them that it's a very difficult fixture. But let's not look too far forward because so basically I think that's we've spoken about what we need to speak about with the Wolves game. We're looking forward a little bit to Luton tomorrow. Despite where they are in the table, I think that for their first season in the Premier League, I think they've actually conducted themselves incredibly well. Perhaps their place in the table doesn't merit where they should be. I think they've competed. If I recall how well they played against Liverpool, certainly at Kenilworth Road, even over the weekend when they played Brentford, and they had a good evening, AFC. Always, it's good to see you here as always, mate. Thank you. They still put up a decent fight. They've got a threat over set plays as well. I believe they scored over a set play over the weekend just gone. Arsenal haven't played them since 1991, and even I don't remember that. Nick says the league tables don't lie, and they spell disaster for Luton Town at sacrifice. He doesn't quite say that, but that's a little joke that I'm doing for Posh Bertie. What do you think to that then?
Well, they say that all teams are different. Well, when you look at Luton's performance against Liverpool, you can see that statement is not true. I remember that game. I didn't watch it live, but I saw the highlights. Funny enough, Liverpool in that game didn't make their chances count, which is something that we didn't do at the Wolves game, and that very, very nearly cost us. Cost Liverpool against Luton. Our record isn't great at Luton. Well, the last time we played Luton was in the 90s, I think.
It's about 3 generations ago, mate. So I get what you're saying. I don't think it's really relevant, honestly, because we're at a very, very different time now. Very different time indeed. It's really difficult to figure out with games coming about, and obviously a very difficult game, like you mentioned. Yeah, a very different time. Very difficult game coming up on Saturday as well. You probably see a little bit of rotation, but saying that, maybe some of it we do down to, like we've mentioned, Tomiyasu. Perhaps we might see Havertz come back in. Perhaps that's what I think. But I don't see whole-scale changes. No, I don't think that'd be right, because you can't take Luton lightly. You just can't. Otherwise, you know what the Premier League's like. It'll come and bite you straight back on the nose. Nick says none of our players were even born the last time we played Luton. Exactly. So any sort of historical worries that we might have had in previous games, I don't think it's particularly relevant. What I will say,
I think Arteta was even born. I don't. Yeah, he probably was, but
what is he? Arteta's about. He's round about my age, So, yeah, he probably is. But no, it's a decent point. It's a decent point. Just off the top of your head, what would you go for? Would you make it? I mentioned Havertz and Ben White. Is there anything that you might change?
Yeah, so I'd put Raya in goal. Again, White, and we'll have to go with Zinchenko at left back, won't we?
Yeah.
White at right back, maybe Saliba and Kivior as opposed to Saliba and Gabriel, just for rotation's sake. But I don't know. I want to see our strongest defence fit against Villa on Saturday. So maybe that could be an option. Declan Rice in midfield, that will be unchanged. Either Havertz or Jorginho in the number 8 role. I mean, which I would prefer. None of them. Odegaard in attacking midfield.
I'm still trying to convince him, guys. All right, I'm trying. All right.
Would you start Saka? Would you put, I don't know, Trossard,
well, I think he's going to
Jesus instead, or
I think Saka is going to start, and I'll tell you why he's going to start. It's because he'll make his 200th appearance for Arsenal.
Very true. Yeah, so I would expect
unbelievably in this short time frame. We look at him as such a young man. Sorry, let me just take a few things here. Give Nelson a game. Yeah, Nick, I get that. I get that. But like I said, can we afford to take Luton lightly? Yeah, I maybe if Nelson gets on the field, it might be after we may have taken some chances, perhaps.
It would be nice. I'm not saying Nelson's a bad player or anything, but it's a case of we can't really heavily rotate, especially with Nelson. Hasn't I don't think has started a Premier League game this season, but there's always a first time for everything, and I don't know. Yeah, if you're not going to rotate now, when will you? That's true. It's true. But it's a good argument, and
That's something else I think we'll get into in a little bit. Actually,
I can't see Nelson starting, I'm afraid. But no. I would like to see him play a significant amount of time against Luton. For the sake of resting a few players, because our opponents afterwards are no pushovers either. So
that's the thing. I don't think there really is such a thing.
We've got a tough run of fixtures coming up, so
I don't think there's such a thing really in the league as pushovers. There really isn't. Because, you look at the bottom end of the table, for example. Look, Everton right now fighting for their lives. You've got Luton bottom end who still putting up a decent fight despite obviously their precarious sort of position. There are other teams around there that are really sort of have their moments and have the ability to still beat anybody. That's the truth. But who knows? Well, Sheffield United. Yeah. I know what you mean. I know what you mean, mate. I know what you mean.
Today, I don't know if you're aware.
Did they really? I hadn't even had a chance to see that.
Paul Heckingbottom of the table has been sacked.
Wow.
And I believe Chris Wilder is going to be interim manager.
Oh, wow. Wilder coming back to the club after he managed them in the Premier League last time they were there.
Yeah.
Interesting. That is breaking news to me, guys. So thank you.
It was a few hours ago, but it's breaking news to you.
I was busy trying to get home, mate. I didn't even know if I'd make this stream, frankly. And I'm pleased I did, because we've got lots of people in. And look, it might not be as planned as I normally like, but we're having a decent discussion anyway. So where else shall we go? I think I know where we stand kind of on some of the rotation issues or not. Your feelings on a result? What do you want to throw out a prediction just for the hell of it?
Well, I really want to. I mean, we should. I know football's played on grass, not on paper, but we should be beating Luton comfortably. Don't make me feel bad for not taking.
No. Well, it's all right, Stace. It's all right. Stacey's, I've seen Stacey today. She's given me a lovely birthday cake today, a little bit of a late birthday cake, which is really nice as well. And we are going to have it as family later on once we are finished up here today. Nick's going for a 5-0 win. Nick,
I want to see that. I want to. I mean, look, we can beat Bournemouth 4-0 at their ground. I do want to give Luton a reality check, something that Liverpool couldn't do.
Holy smokes! Now listen, guys. I
want to go for 4-0. I want a 4-0 win.
I think you're in a dreamland, boys.
I do, but
Look,
whether we get it or not is another story.
As much as I want to see it, 5-0, Nick. Come on. This is an away game at Kenilworth Road. It's going to be difficult
In the cold. Look, so yeah.
I'm going to go. I'm going to go a little bit Tory and go say 2-0. I'm going to go 2-0 Arsenal.
I'm going to go for my real prediction, which is 1-0 win for us.
You'd go for a 1-0, 89th minute, goal line scramble, Saliba in a corner kick, right? After a flick on from Raya.
Player will score an own goal or something, and then there you go.
Yeah.
Defensive calamity for them, and it'll be a ball fest, probably.
Can I just... I don't actually think that they've been turned over, Luton, yet. I know Sheffield United, as Nick put up a little bit ago, saying about no teams are easy. I know they've had a bad experience, particularly over the weekend, right? But I don't think that's actually happened to Luton, as for a team that is having their first Premier League season. They've not disgraced themselves, if you understand what you mean. We're not experiencing another Swindon Town, which you probably don't even remember played in the Premier League.
They played in the Premier League for like one season, and they've never been there again.
Exactly.
It's not been a Derby County in 2008.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what we're talking about.
But a more earlier reference than Swindon.
Yeah. So Emerson is going for a 3-1 away win. That sounds good to me as well. So, yeah. Well, look, at least we're all thinking that we're all going to get an away win. Let's hope when we reconvene and we talk about this match, most probably on Wednesday.
Thursday. I won't be available on Wednesday. I've got to convince a bunch of posh people to give money to charity. So, yeah.
Amazing. Well, all right, we'll do it on Thursday then. Absolutely fine. So let's leave the preview there for the moment. Perhaps we might talk about the FA Cup draw briefly. Let's just be fair and be absolutely frank. I don't think that draw's been very nice to either Arsenal or Liverpool, frankly. I don't think either club will be particularly pleased about it. However, I would say to you that being that it is Liverpool and it's a serious competitor, any thoughts that we might have had previously about perhaps putting a younger team, a changed team into this competition would have to stop about there. What do you think, sir?
First of all, I'll have to apologise. I'm too busy focusing on a comment from Stacey saying, "Take the cats and auction them off." How dare you say that, Stacey?
What?
But first of all, it's the event I'm volunteering at is a chef's dinner event, and there'll be a 5-course meal and everything. So if I bring animals in, they'll be like, "Oh, here we go, that's another course added to the list." So I don't want to do that, and I'm not going to auction the cats off as well. They are mine, and I will not even sell them for $1 billion. Nick Meadows says, personally, I'll take that. You've got to be a big team at some point, and we've got a week off after the game. Are you talking about the FA Cup?
I think it's, yes.
Okay, it'll be like Ratatouille. My cats aren't rats, Stacey. But no, well, Hetty's the size of one. She is quite small, but anyway. I
think Emerson agrees with my statement about a strong team. What say you, sir?
So
I know you're quite passionate about this one, so go ahead.
So I predicted at the start of the season, I went grapefruits to the wall and said Arsenal are going to win the FA Cup. So I'm hoping, it just seems like ever since we won it in 2020, we seem to disregard it. I can't... Ever since we won the FA Cup in 2020, we've not got past the 4th round onwards. The last time we only been above that in all competitions twice, and that was in the League Cup in 2022, the semi-finals against Liverpool, of course, of all teams, and in the Europa League when we lost to Unai Emery against Villarreal. But apart from that, we've not gone past the fourth round onwards, I don't think, in these competitions. So we must beat Liverpool. I'm sorry, it's got to be a win. If it's a draw, it'll probably go to a replay, and our fixture's congested as it is. I don't want to go to Anfield on a Tuesday night.
Do replays still exist in the FA Cup? I'm not sure they do.
Well, it did in the first round.
It might do in the first couple of rounds. I don't think it does. We'll have to double check the ruling. Maybe someone in the chat might double check for me as we talk here. But
it'll have to be a strong
like
side.
Emerson says here, no academy players will play against Liverpool. And do you know what? It might be a step too far. Do you know sometimes when academy players do come in, and we've seen one or two go by in years gone by, and sometimes that stage is quite, a big stage for them, and sometimes it's a bit big for them to perform at. I can certainly think of an American international striker that a lot of Arsenal fans wanted to see play. I'm going to bring him up again, Flo Balogun. When he had his opportunities, and he didn't have many, granted, absolutely granted, he didn't have many. But I always felt that when he came in and played the few times that he played for Arsenal, it didn't look quite in place of it because it looked like it might be a little bit above him at that stage. That was just my personal view. Posh is probably going to disagree with me here. And I'll take that.
AS Monaco, I don't know, the last time I looked, which was a few weeks ago, they were top of the league and Flo Balogun was banging the goals in. And I think
good for him. And I'm pleased for him. Honestly, I am pleased for him because he'd be wanting to prove. I don't know if it's necessarily Arteta wrong, because I think Arteta might have wanted to keep him. But I think it might have been the higher-ups, perhaps, that wanted to take him away. If you understand what I mean. Because it was a decent price. But then, I don't know. This is where we disagree a little bit. Obviously, Nketiah, I think, is levels above.
Moving on swiftly from that comment. I think we'll have to play a strong team against Liverpool. I want to take the FA Cup seriously. I don't want Arteta throwing away again. I've said, look at the progress that we've made under him, and I say in the league anyway, from 8th, 5th, and 2nd. Right, if you want to continue that progress, I would say to be on the same level would be if we win a trophy this season, and that's the FA Cup. Even if we finish second in the league again, I think winning the FA Cup, I think, would be a good thing for us because it's a competition.
My favourite competition. It's my favourite cup competition, mate.
It's a competition where we're certainly no strangers of winning. We're the team that's won the most ones, and it'll be nice to get another FA Cup under our belt. And we've got to put up a strong team against Liverpool, and we've got to try and go for it. I think. We do have the home advantage, so that's good. But we'll probably get into that game as the games go by and when we get to it.
Yeah, I believe the third round is in January. We've got a little bit to go before we get into that. Nick's saying I think we'll go as strong as we possibly can. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
I'm just fuming that we didn't get Maidstone.
Yeah, absolutely. It would have been wonderful to see, wouldn't it, mate?
Absolutely.
I mean, let's be fair. Yeah, go on.
I mean, I'm also fuming that Dirty Maidstone got further in that competition than Ebbsfleet did. So,
of course, you're going to be upset by that
this season. But yeah, well, we'll have
moving on a little bit. Moving on a little bit. A little bit of news. Harry, I know who you are. Hello, mate. How are you? Yes, I had a lovely birthday. Thank you very much, so much for asking. It's very much appreciated. yes, it was nice, and yes, I've come another year closer to retirement. Thank God. No, I'll be blinking lucky, everyone. Yeah. Thank you for joining us, Harry. It's lovely to see you in the chat, mate. Thank you. Very shortly before we went on air today, Posh, I learnt of the news. Yeah, why not? I'm going to use it. Why not? Let me find it. Newcastle's Nick Pope had picked up a nasty little injury. I think he's dislocated his shoulder, which will put into question. I can't find the limit picture.
Don't worry, I'll get it up for you, Mrs.
I'm sure you will.
Here he
sir.
is.
There he is. There he is. Nick Pope. A bit of a worry, being that he's an England player as well, by the way. Dislocating his shoulder, out potentially for 4 months now. Newcastle, top team, as we know. We've often spoken about how impressive they've been recently. They do have, much like Arsenal, actually, quite a strong number 2 goalkeeper in Dubravka. The deplaced, is that not quite the right word?
Replaced,
but you know what I mean. Yeah. Replaced number 1 goalkeeper is probably the word I'm trying to find. Do you think that they might be tempted to perhaps go for one of the hottest free agents in the goalkeeping scene, in one David De Gea? Or do you think they might hold on a little bit and maybe in January look at one Aaron Ramsdale?
I think the favourite, if it is probably De Gea, I think. Whether they do get a goalkeeper or not remains to be seen. But yeah, Pope is out for a long time now.
It's a big blow,
4 to 5 months. That's the end of the season. And now there could be debate on if it's too serious. He might be out for the Euros. You never know. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, Southgate,
which opens up the Ramsdale argument, doesn't it?
No, I think Newcastle were looking at De Gea. Ramsdale has been up in the conversation. Again, I'm not Fabrizio Romano. I don't know the ins and outs of these transfers, so I can't comment. But I think I think De Gea, if any goalkeeper is out of De Gea or Ramsdale will go to Newcastle, I think David De Gea will. I just got a hunch that might happen. Yep. And also Harry says that Sophie also wishes you a happy birthday. Another year to retirement. Yes.
Thank you very much. Again, really? Don't want to talk politics with you, but yeah, really?
You ain't retiring from this channel, though.
You're trying to displace me.
You're not retiring from this channel. I said
no, of course not. Wouldn't dream of it. So we covered the Nick Pope story. We've covered the Wolves. We've covered Luton Town. Is there anything else you want to or need to cover this evening, sir? You haven't bashed Nketiah yet, so I wondered if you might want to.
Oh, of course. So 2 things then. First of all, Nick Meadows says they won't go for Aaron Ramsdale when they've got Nick Pope, Dubravka, because they'll be in the same position as Arsenal when everyone's fit. I think we're thinking more of a loan till the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's what I'm thinking too.
For Newcastle, Pope's going to be out for almost the rest of the season, and so they kind of need a goalkeeper. And I think that if they get a goalkeeper, if they do get Ramsdale, it will probably be a until the end of season loan. Emerson says, also you can remind the under-21s are in action tomorrow night against Peterborough in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy in the knockout, an FA Cup 3rd round against Crewe Alexandra on Saturday. Yes, for whatever reason, you'd be surprised that I'm not a Peterborough fan. I don't support Posh, which is surprising given my nickname. But no, Peterborough and Crewe Alexandra. Yes, good luck to the under-21s and good luck to the man who I believe you're related to, Mr. Cozier Dewberry.
Absolutely. I'll be also keeping an eye on one or 2 other players that may or may not make that youth side, considering obviously we play on Tuesday as well, there may or may not be some interesting developments on terms of maybe one or two potentially filling up that bench again. Lewis Skelly comes to mind. I don't know if it means anything. He was wearing a different colour sort of bib to the other academy kids in training today. But we will see what that means or not in the lineup tomorrow.
Potentially.
Yeah, perhaps. Nick thinks about, I think Ramsdale wouldn't loan him, only let him go for a massive fee. But then, what does it do?
Again, Nick, this potential loan would be from January until May. And if Arsenal want to get rid of him then in the summer, they'll let him go for a massive fee. I understand where you're coming from in January because you want to get that money maybe for a midfielder or a striker. But that's when I would say, you got players like El Neni, Vieira, Cedric. We won't get the most amount of money for them, but we could try and get as much money as we can for them. And yes, and Nketiah as well, Mr. Meadows. They would probably be gone if I was the manager, and I would say that would be. Oh yes, I remember you, Luke. You're the Northampton.
Hello, Luke. I remember you too.
Yes.
Hello, mate. Welcome.
Please give us your Northampton town updates.
Absolutely, we'll read them out as well. Thank you very much for joining us. It's nice to see some recurring names in the chat. The issue I'd say we've mentioned this before, Posh, haven't we? That if Ramsdale leaves, back up to Raya is very untried.
No,
and that'd be a worry for me. You mentioned you don't even want to call him his name. You just called him Heinz tomato ketchup. It's a bit disrespectful.
He's the ketchup bottle. But yeah, it's because I seen him in pre-season and he looked a little bit shaky, didn't he? But yeah, I think
it's penalty specialist. He can save penalties.
Yeah. Well, we have good penalty takers. Let's see if we can get good penalty savers.
That would be nice.
Ramsdale was quite good in the Community Shield. But yeah,
he was. That is true. But I think, unless you can think of anything else to say, sir, I think that's where I'd like to wrap it up because I'm a very tired boy. Yes, sir. You want to say something?
Two things. Just be awake for a moment. You might want to go to sleep for this one though. Nketiah hit the post very late on in the second half. After we conceded. Any other striker would have scored that, let's be honest. And yeah.
You're going to have a pop at Trossard then for missing his chance?
I thought he should have scored that.
Right.
I thought he should have scored that. We didn't make our chances count. I've said that. And also, I do want to touch on the Man City versus Tottenham game. Of course,
we haven't gone there at all, have we? We should have done. My bad. Take the floor, sir.
John Brady disappointed as winning run comes to an end. Oh, no. Oh, well. Again, that's the Northampton Town update. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Luke. Cheers, mate.
So, I mean, I'm probably the wrong person to mention conspiracies because I'm about to mention one immediately after this. But this thing about the referees being in the pockets of the Saudi clubs, that conspiracy has come to an end this week with the very last minute in the City Tottenham game and the Newcastle game in the Champions League. But I will say, the referee for the City Tottenham game was, of course, the same referee who was in charge of Tottenham versus Liverpool, which is Simon Hooper. So. Yeah, and I got all this out of my system on Sunday. The referees and even the media as well have a bit of a can I use the word fetish on this channel? I don't know, but they've got an obsession with
You're
Tottenham
fine with
Hotspur.
me there, mate. I get you.
They've got an obsession with Tottenham Hotspur. Again, they wanted to the Luis Diaz goal against Liverpool ruled out for offside for some ridiculous reason. didn't play on the advantage when Man City did have the advantage. I just think if this, I know that, why are you Arsenal fan unhappy about Man City dropping points? And that's not the case. I'm not unhappy at that. I'm unhappy at the refereeing that's going on. Different things.
I get you.
If it was any other club, if it wasn't Tottenham, the ref would have played the advantage. I'm that serious. And I look back at the Tottenham-Chelsea game. Yes, justice got served, as I said on Twitter, with the Chelsea win there. But I think they had 2 goals ridiculously ruled out for offside in the first half. I remember Romero's red card should not have been needed for a VAR check, and Udogie should have been sent off straight away rather than getting a yellow card. And I still have this screenshot on my phone of the commentary bit in the Sky Sports app, the Football Score Centre, the worded commentary. It said, Udogie didn't get a red card. He's a very lucky boy. Everything is going Spurs' way so far.
Right.
Well, fancy that.
Yeah.
Well, and I just think it's all. And again, I know this game's in the past and I keep talking about it, but playing a high line with 9 men, losing 4-1, and the media, it's so brilliant, so brave. It's just amazing tactics. Were Tottenham the real winners despite their 4-1 defeat versus Chelsea? Okay. Were Arsenal the real winners despite their 8-2 defeat to Man United with 10 men in 2011? But yeah, if that's the case. Anyway,
that is the last time in my management of this channel that will ever be mentioned.
Okay, well, I'd hate to mention that to you, but I had to do that. I just think there's a bit of a WWE storytelling going on that the media want to do with Tottenham Hotspur. They want to try and have they love Ange Postecoglou, the big cuddly Australian teddy bear, don't they? Because he says mate a lot and he's got a lovely bushy beard. I don't know, but he is a good bloke though, so you can't really hate him. But I don't know, if they want an underdog story, let Villa do what they do. Yeah. By the way, Man City haven't got Rodri, De Bruyne, Grealish, maybe even Erling Haaland if he got suspended for that tweet. Again, and they've got to go to Villa Park in midweek. And when Rodri got suspended, 3 games, City lost all their games, which is why I don't encourage going to the bookies because my betting record's very shoddy.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised Villa getting a win over Man City. I'm calling it now. Villa will beat Man City this Wednesday. Calling it now. Screenshot it, clip it. Nostradamus strikes again. Villa are going to beat Man City.
You do know what I'm going to do with that, don't you?
Yep. Aston Villa will beat Manchester City on Wednesday. Postradamus strikes again.
And that's the bottom line, because Posh said so. And it's probably worth saying
now.
But it's probably worth saying.
Yeah.
I do believe that Manchester City did get charged with their behaviour on the back of the refereeing decision, which didn't allow Grealish to go through and have his attempt on goal. Bear in mind, my brother's in Australia, by the way. So that's
I imagine they love it. They're loving Big Ange instead as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, at what point are the FA going to charge the referee for not doing his job properly? Yeah, I'm defending the whole thing here. It's ridiculous.
They won't because it's Tottenham and they love Tottenham. So, but again,
who's a doubt as well, says Nick.
Really? They're in a bit of an injury crisis then, really. That's strange.
If you look at their bench, it doesn't look as frightening as it did last season. It looks quite young from what I see. Nothing wrong with having a young bench, but it doesn't have the depth. When you had a Riyad Mahrez and a Gundogan in your squad, enough make a difference.
I was about to say, I think getting rid of Gundogan is a bigger mistake than you think. You can say, they got tons of squad depth. We don't need him. That's fine. I think they do. I think getting rid of him was a mistake because he was one of their best players. I think when in the latter stages of last season, when they had the advantage for the title, And of course, the FA Cup, Gundogan was player of the match in that, if you remember. I think I know that he's a bit old and everything, but I still think he had a lot to offer. And I think getting rid of him was a mistake. But, I'm not... I'm not feeling sympathy for Man City because of that. You kind of want them to slip up there when you're an Arsenal fan and you want to see a different
shoot
Premier
themselves in the foot as much as they want, mate. It's fine by me.
But I'm not defending City. I'm defending whoever is the victim of a dodgy refereeing decision, no matter which team it is. Because I just want to.
I will back this man up in this one because it doesn't matter. I think all we want to see in the Premier League is having some right decisions anywhere. And now, if it doesn't have to go, but this one's here is related to Arsenal. Look, where's the shirt for here? No.
Well, because it helped us actually the 3-3. I didn't think.
It's a perfect result for us, no doubt.
Which was interesting. The result itself, it's good for us because it helps us.
Hanging game as well, by the way.
A bit of a gap
as a neutral, brilliant.
Yeah, it was absolutely, and of course, it's still a long way to go. The season's not over yet. There'll be plenty more twists and turns. But the thing is, you got Arsenal fans. When you're saying, "Oh, isn't Simon Hooper such a great referee? Oh, they helped us and everything." I don't want to be the prophet of doom, but you're part of the problem. They're part of the problem doing that because they can get away with it. Mm-hmm. There was hardly any accountability amongst all football fans for this, and Arsenal fans all being cocky and everything. You won't be cocky when Simon Hooper is inevitably put in charge of the North London derby in April. Jesus. So that's another Postradamus prediction. I think that, yeah.
Okay, mate.
So I'm telling you that now.
I haven't seen Chelsea Brighton yet, Nick. Did you see this, Posh?
No, I didn't. But I know that there was a last second potential penalty that went to VAR, and it took about 500 hours to decide. Which is again, I just want to see decent refereeing, and it might involve VAR being scrapped if that's the case.
Yeah, whole can of worms to open up there, and right at this moment, I don't even think I have the energy to say them words. But what I will say, Posh, is despite our lack of preparation for this stream, sir, I think we've done a jolly good job in covering everything over the weekend as best as we can. If we've missed anything, ladies and gentlemen, what are you going to do?
I think my 2 cents on the Man City Tottenham game was probably the most prepared I've been for a segment because I knew what I was going to say. I was going to say it's all a big conspiracy and that the world is against us and that the referees are lizards or whatever. No. But I do think you can admit the media are a little bit biased towards Tottenham this season.
Yeah, probably.
A bit like how they were biased towards Liverpool in when they were challenging for the league. Liverpool as well, but as we knew them. So it's no coincidence, really.
But it's always been like that, and the media have never been fans of Arsenal, mate. Even as long as I've been watching them under George Graham, I listen without bringing up the incident where about 21 of the 22 players involved had a bit of a scrap against Man United at Old Trafford. The only one that didn't get involved was Dave Seaman, who was just busy catching fishes in the goal there. And George Graham famously said, "Look, we're not second bottom, we're second top." And look, the media don't like that, don't like us. Don't worry about that. I'll deal with them.
He said,
and it's always been like,
he said, if it's fine if they hate us, it's part of our history.
Absolutely, that is what Arsenal's all about, and I'm afraid. And maybe that's one of the reasons I quite like that. I remember they used to love Man United when they were good. Do you know what?
I think a lot of people from London did as well. No, but
I think the United fans remember when they were good as well. It's always very tough to replace someone in the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson and Arsene Wenger. It's big shoes to fill, isn't it? Let's be fair. We could ramble on.
Well, I think if Arsene Wenger's successor was back the same way Arteta was, it may have been a different story. But we will talk about that in our preview for the Villa game if we're doing one.
I'm sure we can manage to do that somehow, some way.
Yeah.
Certainly we've got a team of about 6 or 7 with us. I'm sure someone could do something with it. But at this stage, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tap out. It's been a very long day. I've been up since 5 a.m. I'm very pleased that we've managed to get an hour with all of you Gooner gatherers tonight. We appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, as you do always. Let me just find the banner for the social medias. I know you all know them all off the top of your head. This is how we sign out. Posh Bertie, where can they find you, sir?
You can follow me on Twitter or X at Posh Bertie, where I just moan about things a lot. And my Instagram is at Bertie Wanless.
Thank you very much. And Bertie, thank you for supporting me, and thank you for reassuring me before we went on air tonight. I appreciate you very much. You know this. We might not always agree, but you've always got me back.
But
so
it's
thank
always
you, sir.
good to talk to you. It's always good to be on this channel.
Thanks, mate. Appreciated very much. You can find me at Goonerly Mead. You can find all of us at Gooner Gathering. We will most likely see you, I would imagine, Wednesday night for our review of the Luton game. Let's hope we can carry on our form. Let's get 5 wins out of 5 and keep on top of that table, everyone. Have a lovely evening, everybody, and we shall see you very, very soon indeed.